Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Diaside, and in this video, we're going to discuss the hunt or be hunted movement tips in Destiny 2 PvP. I don't know about you, but I certainly don't want to be hunted, and rather I want to hunt. And so pretty much, this entire video is designed around two aspects of this mentality, and that is closing the gap as well as game sense. In other words, this is pretty much going to entail some maneuvers, basic to advanced, and other such things, such as how many enemies do I have near me? How close are my allies to me? What is my radar providing to me? Do I have my abilities, such as a dodge, a shield, or a rift, or maybe something like say a melee and so on and so on. I can go on and on and on about what might be entailed within this type of stuff, so rather than just describing all those things, I thought that the best way to get a really good comprehension of this is to look at some more detailed examples, breaking them down step by step, the pros and the cons, so then you guys can really have a better picture of what to expect and also apply this hunt or be hunted mindset, just like Chucky saying surprise, gotcha. That is one terrifying sight, and so the only thing left to do is just to simply sit back, relax, make sure to eviscerate the notification button, and share this video, as that is one of the best ways in which you can support the channel. And without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. In our very first example, we find ourselves an altar of flame by the Dune Steps, and lo and behold, we happen to get some great team shots and get that first guy down. After that, I glance at my radar and it tells me some great information, so I go ahead and push up towards B, make this fantastic flank, ignore the guy in the circuit, attack the guy in the curve, and as soon as I happen to get him, I go directly back to that circuit, get that guy, chase the next guy, but then he's a little bit too far away, so I forget him, I turn around, I get the next two guys, and then finally I get my third and final guy for a nice triple kill right there at the power. As I rewind this entire engagement, there's two things that I really want you to take away from this. The first one being is that after we got that first team shot on the first guy, I'm going to put it on pause and look at that radar. This radar is really telling me a ton of information, but the most important thing is that number one, I realize where my teammates are, and thus because of that, most likely where they are, enemy guardians are not. Thus, this information tells me that I gotta make a great flank towards the B area, and so as I do so, I'm then looking for more guardians via that radar. But the second important thing here is that the first guardian that you see is not necessarily the first guardian that you should attack. This is also what happened here by that guardian at the circuit, and the reason why I initially ignored him was because he was simply too far away with this huckleberry to down him. So I went ahead and attacked the guy at the curve, and as I did so, I then knew for a fact that I had that damage buff, and so I could push out towards the guy at the circuit, use the block as some cover area, and take him out no problem. Once this was complete, I was then in the ideal scenario for where this huckleberry is going to have the biggest advantage, and that is these close confined spaces. As you guys just saw from right there, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guardians in this very close confined space, all while making a fantastic flank to close the gap, and thus using gain sense via that radar to then be able to get this play done. Speaking of closing the gap, the next example is going to be doing the exact same thing but a little bit differently in closing that gap. And so here we happen to find ourselves on Gambler's Ruin with this wonderful Crimson and Gnora's X. This first guardian pops out of nowhere, so I go ahead and shotgun him with a body shot and then melee him to finish him off. After this, I'm not really sure what's going to happen as I see a guardian potentially in the back of the C spawn. I push up by the wall, and thus I see the first guardian get him with the Crimson. Then I happen to get some more guardians in the back and get damaged, but I realize that they're simply too far away and I gotta close the gap. So I retreat, toss my grenade above, then push up via the right hand side with my shotgun. The grenade goes off, it damages both these guardians, and I finish off that golden gun with the Gnora's Axe. As I rewind this entire engagement in plain slow motion, there's two things once again that I want you to take away from this. Firstly is that I closed the gap on that first guardian by hugging the wall, and that was intentional as I wanted to make sure that he could only get me from one perspective and one perspective alone. After this, I try to get some more guardians in the back, but then the second point to make is that I realized there was simply too many guardians to take down all by myself, and so I had to retreat, and also the damage wasn't being done fully via the Crimson. Once I realized this, I was like, okay, take a step back, let's go ahead and toss a grenade. And this grenade was intended to not just kill them but potentially damage them, while I then took that time to then push up on the right hand side and finish them off myself. In essence, I attacked from two different sides simultaneously, thus creating a pincer attack all by myself. The grenade was attacking from one side, I was attacking from the other side, and bada bing bada boom, that golden gun was sent to the afterlife, me Anubis, a little bit sooner than what he might have expected. With this, I think that you now realize that there's a lot of different ways in which you can close the gap, via this pincer maneuver that you guys just saw, as well as with simply doing a fantastic flank and then choosing as to which guardians that you're then going to take out first. However, What you also have probably noticed is that I'm then playing into the strengths of the weapons in which I'm using, and this is a fantastic thing that you gotta keep in mind 24/7 for whatever weapon that you're going to use, and that is play to the strengths of the weapon, aka the range in which they're most ideal to be used in. This right here is pivotal to understand, especially for this next example using the Traveler's Chosen. As I approach the river in this example, you're then going to see that I got a couple blips on my radar, one to the sea capture point and one to the shrine. I make a split-second decision and go for the guy in the shrine. Toss my grenade, get a damage number. So what do? I push him as fast as I can. I happen to get him as he's retreating. All of a sudden, there's a second guy. But what do? I stay calm, I jump into the air, I push him outside the shrine, take him out after he blinks, and lo and behold, I got that next guy down. As if being shot full of adrenaline, I then see these next two guys, so I slide, push over this object, aka the square block, take him out as well, and then I dodge into cover because I'm not sure if there's a guardian at the sea capture point. He blinks over me and I use my audio cues to know exactly where he's going to land, but then the engagement's not over as I see one last guardian, so I slide up to the pillars, use them for cover, finish him off with a simple strafe, and then go into the altar for some cover. In rewinding this engagement one more time and playing slow motion, you're then going to realize that I took out 6 guardians all by myself. In all of these engagements, you're going to take away 2 things from this. Number 1, I made every single one just that, a 1v1 engagement. And number 2, I used the environment, aka the map, to my advantage to suit the Traveler's Judgment the best. There's actually even a third thing that you could take away from this, and that is that I was using different types of angles of elevation to attack from different perspectives that guardians weren't expecting. In the altar, for example, I used that little ledge, jumped over the ledge, broke a line of sight, and then finished him off. As I went to the next couple of engagements, I used the block by that massive pillar in the center of the map to go ahead, jump over the block once again, and attack from a different perspective. After that engagement, I then had that blinking warlock use my audio cues to tell me as to exactly where he was then going to be, aka game sense, but then I used my environment once again to push up into the last guy by going to the pillar next to the sea capture point, using that for cover and to reload as well, finally finishing off that 6th guardian. You see where I'm going with this? The environment is your biggest ally. It's always going to be consistent and it's always going to be the same. And so it's up to you to then decide as to what weapon that you're then going to use to fit that environment the best, as well as the decision-making process to complement that, closing the gap and using game sense together. And seeing this, I want to show you this next engagement, which is almost identical to the other one because it's actually on the exact same map in the exact same position, using the exact same environment locations to get a similar outcome but using a completely different weapon. As we find ourselves at the sea capture point, you're then going to realize that I'm using the galliard, and thus I then go ahead and push up to the pillar in front of the sea capture point itself. As I do so, I see a guardian go to my right. I finish him off, reload, ignore the other guardian and go for the one on my left, get him, and then as soon as that happens, I see a potentially a guardian behind this massive column, so I go ahead and push up to the right. So what does he do? He panic slams, reload behind cover once again, see a guardian at the B steps, shoot him on the right, he goes away, shoot the guardian on my left, once again retreat, reload, get kill clip to proc, finish off that guy who pushed me, and then I push up onto the B steps, finish off that very last guardian with kill clip. As if by being struck by deja vu, you guys just saw that I pretty much used the exact same location points as in the last engagement, but with this time around I was using the galliard. And what you're also then going to realize is that with the slow motion, I was then using the range of the galliard to its most optimal efficiency. I never ever pushed up more so to the point in which the galliard couldn't actually down a guardian. And in actuality, I actually made the enemy guardians do my work for me, because as you'll notice for the guy on the B steps, I happened to get him a little bit, he retreated, I got his buddy on the left, and then as I dipped behind cover with a little bit of damage into me, what'd he do? He pushed up, and it was exactly what I wanted to do because then I slide out, and as if vanishing into a puff of smoke, poof, adios, bye-bye, he got annihilated, decimated, and obliterated, and so did his teammate too. Again, why did this happen? I was using the environment in association with the weapon and its ideal optimal effective range together to have this marvelous symbiotic relationship and thus get every single one of these guardians in a 1v1 scenario. Diaslayers, everything that you guys have seen thus far can be done on a hunter, a warlock, a titan. It doesn't matter. All these things are basic principles of understanding how to close the gap and using that environment as well as the weapons that you want to have, or potentially a pincer attack, or maybe something so simplistic as ignoring a guardian and then going for a different one first, are all things that you can do regardless of character. And having said that, we're going to go into the next 2 engagements, and these 2 engagements are within trials, and thus that means that we're going to face off against some sweaty McSweats, so make sure that you grab that Gatorade and stay hydrated, my friends. Here we happen to find ourselves on Exodus approaching the power, and as I do so, I then go to the bottom of the trains. All of a sudden I see a grenade, so I shoot that grenade, notice he's using a sniper, push up against the wall, slide, damage him, finish him off with the auto rifle, push up to the next guardian at the power itself. I then shotgun him from below, take him out, do a 180 spin, and then shoot that final guardian with the summoner. As I rewind this engagement and play in slow motion one more time, the main takeaway from this is one simple cue, and that is the sniper light. As I was approaching the bottom of the train, I saw that sniper light at the corner of my eye, and so what did I do after this? I then went ahead, I slid to get under that sniper rifle shot. Hopefully he missed, but he landed that body shot, yet I had already slid closing the gap and finished him off with my auto, and that allowed me to then take him out. As I went to the next engagement, I completely messed with this guy's radar. I went directly underneath him and he had no idea where I was. You realize what I'm doing here, and that I'm actually recognizing what these enemy guardians are using and then using that to my advantage, because once I realize this, I'm like, okay, I can do this, this, and this, and thus I have these limited amount of actions to make sure that I'm going to win this engagement and thus be successful. That right there is the biggest takeaway from this, my friends. Realize what the enemy guardians are using, and then realize what you then have to actually counter that the best way that you can, and make a play based upon that information. Something like that sniper light is a wonderful cue to tell you as to exactly what someone's going to be using. If you see a guardian sliding a ton, then most likely what do they have? A shotgun. Furthermore, you can use audio cues to do this exact same thing if you happen to be facing off against an auto rifle, and this next example is showing exactly this, and to really get the full picture here, let's go right into it. Once again, this is a trials match, and I happen to find myself by the B capture point. I see a couple guardians outside B, so I toss my grenade, and I put it on pause right here, as what do I see right there on screen for a split second? A red damage X. This tells me that my grenade damaged a couple guardians, maybe one, maybe two, I don't really know as I didn't quite see the damage values, but I know that they are damaged nonetheless. Putting it back on play, I dodge, see where guardians are at, I then take out that first one right there in the middle and happen to get him, and I push directly into that warehouse, shooting down the tunnel. I don't want these guys to get that res, take out my shotgun, get the guy who was revived, dodge, slide, get the next guy, reload the magazine via slide shot, get that final guy, saying check please, thank you, come again. As I rewind this one more time and play in slow motion, there's actually two things that I want you to take away from this and how I close the gap. After that initial grenade was tossed and I saw that guardians were damaged from this, I then did a dodge, and this dodge was also closing the gap to the left hand side by the warehouse, but more importantly than this, I put on pause right here because I want you to see that the reason why I do some of these things is because I want to get a third person perspective. While I'm traversing distance, I'm then at the exact same time able to see where guardians are at, and then make an educated guess as to which one's weak, which one's strong, which one I can actually take out, and so on and so forth. As I put it back on play, I then take out that first guardian right there in the air, and then what do I do to close the gap more so? I use my cover yet again, but this time it's the warehouse, and at the same time, I never let up on the eyes from that aura that I down from earlier. The second thing to grasp is that sometimes it's not the best thing to push right away, and patience is a virtue. I knew that they were most likely going to go for that res, and so I was simply waiting, trying to prevent them first of all to actually get the res, but then when I realized that I couldn't do so anymore, I waited for a split second and then immediately pushed up, knowing that that res was going to occur, shotgun that guy, slid, used my abilities to my advantages, dodged, got a couple more guardians, slid again, and then finally got that last guy, all while maintaining this wonderful mindset. Now some of you might be thinking, but Xander, come on, you do this on a hunter and you have that fantastic dodge ability. But to you I say, hold on, take a chill pill my friends, because you know what? What do warlocks have? They also happen to have Icarus Dash, and Icarus Dash can do this exact same thing by getting you into a third person perspective and seeing that first guardian in the air via damage values and then taking him out. Titans, you can do this exact same thing simply by popping your shield and then using that to your advantage to once again get you into that third person perspective, see a couple of guardians where they might be, where they might not be, and then finish them off just the same. As for the latter half of this engagement, Hunters and Titans and Warlocks, we can all do this exact same thing, just a little bit differently. Hunters, we have the dodge, and so you can use that the exact same way in which you guys just saw me use that dodge. But if you're a Titan, what do you gotta have? Synthoceps. And Synthoceps literally teleports you from one spot to the next, and you can easily melee these guys with that shotgun as well and take them out for a triple kill once again. Warlocks, you guys are fantastic at being able to do number 1, Icarus Dash, and number 2, Blink. No other class can do that, and you guys can have some crazy evasive maneuvers that can allow you to get high into the air, allow you to go backwards and forwards very rapidly, and so on. You can get this exact same type of maneuvering skills via this triple shotgun play just the same way. And having said all this fluff cover stress shenanigans and all these examples being shown, I think it's safe to say that no matter what kind of class that you're on, Hunter, Titan, or Warlock, we can all do triple kills just like what you guys saw, and in the process, making enemy guardians a little bit salty. You want to do this, I want to do this, we all want to do this, and the best way to be able to achieve this is to use this mindset of hunt or be hunted. Hopefully, this video helped you guys understand this hunt or be hunted mindset, as well as being able to close the gap and a little bit more about game sense too. If it did so, then by all means, let me know down in the comment section below what you liked, what you didn't, and if you did like it, share this video with your friends, as that is more than enough support and it's how I grow, and it helps out the channel tremendously. The only thing left to say is that no matter what you do say, you always know that I'm going to respect your opinions, and that is something that I can guarantee. That's much all I've got for you as of right now, Dia Slayers, and as always, GG TNT.